dive into it. Let's
Yeah.
do it. I don't care if it takes longer. I'm excited for this.
I got a pet peeve, and people can laugh and they can yell and scream at me. I don't care. I hate the concept. I know, like I said, humans, we got to label everything.
Yep.
So, we hear this synthetic fertilizer thing all the time. Look, when we start talking about herbicides, synthetic is a proper application for some of those. That's a proper label.
Yep.
Pesticides, proper label. Nitrogen is an element on the periodic table.
Yep.
Phosphorus is an element on the periodic table. Until we start fertilizing with Einsteinium, all of those elements are naturally occurring. What always drove me crazy is that if we put 1152 on a cornfield, it's conventional. If we chop that corn for silage and feed it to a cow and scoop up the manure, we can put it on the neighboring field.
That's organic.
That's organic.
Yep.
The phosphorus in the manure came from the corn, which partly came from
The map.
the map. It's an element.
Yes.
And PO4 is PO4. That's phosphate. The microbes don't know the difference. The plants don't know the difference. Now, in saying that, for all the people screaming at this, not all fertilizers are created equal.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
So, anhydrous ammonium, pretty harsh.
Yep.
It's pretty harsh because of the concentration of it, the pH of it, the way it's applied. That's what makes it harsher than some of the others. The nitrogen in it, though, is no different. And the biggest thing we run into with common fertilizers is its ease.
Yep.
So it's not the product itself, it's the ease of which it can be applied. So it's the fact that we can truck it in and we can put on as much as we're allowed to put on or as much as we're willing to buy, and we can put it all on at once. And those are the biggest issues with that program. It's not necessarily the nutrient itself. It's just how we're applying it, how much we're applying. Those are the issues that we start to run into. So what I'm getting at is that for the truest, the organic people, that's nothing wrong with that. If you're making it work, do it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I'm
Yes.
not poking at anybody. At the same time, we've got guys on the other extreme that are like, no, I'll put 350 units on and pull 250 corn off.
Yep.
There's a way to do it in the middle.
Yep.
And I will name drop this one, Russell Hedrick. Some of you know him. A few years ago when he grew this big corn crop, the purists were yelling at him because he put nitrogen on and he uses chemistry.
Yeah.
The conventional guys and even the universities were telling him that it was impossible for him to grow what he grew, only putting on as little as he did. Now, you could say 300 pounds of nitrogen is not a little amount of nitrogen. But when you're removing 450 bushels worth of corn, 300 divided by 450 is 0.66.
That's being pretty darn efficient.
And you can't get much more efficient than that.
Yeah.
Right? So 0.66 on a removal rate. And again, it's phosphorus. I think his phosphorus was less than 20 parts per million. Now that's Mehlich 3. For all the people out there going, well, Haney test.
Oh, yeah.
No. Mehlich 3. Less than 20 parts per million. I think it was around 18. He yanks 450 bushel corn off, right?
Well,
and he didn't
go ahead.
put on enough P for that. So the point is that and he's not the only one, okay?
Exactly.
So I'm just sharing because I've heard him speak on this so many times. I know these numbers, and he'll throw his whole program up and show it to people. Well, Now, does that mean that you can replicate that exact output in any? No, of course not. That's not the message. The message is that this happy medium, right, of, I'm growing bigger crops and I need some fertility input, and I shouldn't be afraid of the quote unquote synthetic fertility input.
Yeah.
But I also, to be efficient, And to use that properly, I need to do these other management practices that allow those nutrients to be moved through the system and delivered efficiently. And he didn't go throw 300 units on at one time.
No.
Right? And so, again, finding that, and I always joke around and say, doctor says you should drink 8 glasses of water every day. Well, wake up in the morning and chug 64 ounces of water and don't drink anything else the next 23 hours. How do you feel?
Yep.
Terrible. And so it's finding that happy medium and balance. And like you said before, Johnny, you made a great point. All these tools in ag should be at your disposal. And I get asked that all the time. Well, what should I do? Can I use glyphosate? Well, using glyphosate once every 3 years is certainly different than using it 3 times every year.
Well, and I think we've even had this conversation because I was going down the rabbit hole. This probably was 2 years ago, and I texted you. And I was like, and maybe you should reiterate it. Okay? We both understand, we both agree that Roundup can be a chelator, and it can be detrimental, right? It can be.
Absolutely.
But let's just say you go out there and you're doing one pass, and that's what you do. Is that the end of the world to that biology?
No, it's not. Look, I think that a common goal for most producers should be to reduce the amount of those types of things. And I'm not just picking on glyphosate. I mean, just to reduce.
Yeah.
Because number one, they cost money.
Yep.
Right. And if I can figure out how to operate my operation or trade off, everyone says, well, cover crops, cost $30, $30 an acre or whatever. Yeah, they do. But nobody bats an eye at the fertility bill you're throwing out or the herbicide bill. Those are they're just built into the budget.
Well, we even think about a rye. Well, maybe that first pass, you don't have to throw a group 15 on there. Okay, is that $10 to $20?
Yeah.
Pretty quick on that first pass. Maybe you do it that second pass. And I think that's probably the thing that I wanted to get across here is like, I'm not anti, of course, the word synthetic. I'm not anti that.
Yep.
It's knowing what we're doing to that soil, what it's doing to the biology, and if it is creating stress, let's do a positive with the negative.
Yeah.
Let's get it reboosting, get it going again, which you can do that with carbon sources, right forms of nutrients. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it.
Well, and that's just it. But if you get into a situation, because again, Mother Nature likes to throw curveballs, right? A friend of mine and somebody who's been involved in soil health since the dawn of soil health, Barry Fisher, in Indiana. I mean, he said it. I went on a tour with him and he said, look, how many factors do we actually control when it comes to yield? And he said in all the things that we do control, yield is still 75, 80% determined on weather.
Yep.
Even with all the things, all the tech and all the things we have. So when those things, if you're in a situation where you've got a choice between raising a crop or not raising a crop, and you have to pull out some of those technologies to save your crop that year, save your crop.
100%.
But again, that setback is not necessarily a reflection of you and your management. You could be doing all the right things. That's just the 80%.
Yeah. Mother Nature
threw you that curveball, so you should be able. That's my thing with this, is that if you don't pigeonhole yourself into one side or the other, and you can find a medium ground that works for you, then you still have all those tools at your disposal.
Yeah,
and use them when you need to. And
guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.